All right, Sistas fans, we are here for the first official review of Season 5, starting with Episode 1, entitled Pain and Suffering. Had a great time doing the live tweet last night on Twitter, as well as doing a live stream on YouTube not long after the episode finished. If you joined in, we had a good time. If you missed out, you can catch the live on the channel. Last I checked, we're already over 6,000 views, so apparently it went over well. We had like a couple hundred people in there for a majority of the run, and we talked about everything about the episode from top to bottom. Now, I did see the end credit scene because, you know, it's not uncommon when I'm watching my live stream of the episode on Dish Network. As soon as the episode is over, I might get like 5 seconds of the end credit trailer and then it cuts off. So I did see the trailer or end credit trailer for next week, and let me just say this. Things that I wanted to praise in this episode are now meaningless because based on the preview, we're going back on a lot of stuff. But to be fair, I still will give this episode a 7 out of 10. Even though based on the preview, I should knock it down to like a 4, but I don't think that's fair because I guess that means next week's episode is going to be docked a few points because of Andy and Karen going back to their old ways. So before moving forward in the review, please take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit subscribe and hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. So we start off with a scene. Okay, this episode had me feeling weird because there were moments where I liked how some characters handled situations, but then they kind of seemingly came out of nowhere. For example, we got Andy and Fatima in the office at their job. And, you know, Andy is looking across the, you know, through, obviously, you know, her office has windows, so she's looking through the, you know, windows, and she sees Gary and Hayden, and basically from there, Fatima's trying to get them to focus back on their work. And it, you know, it happens to, you know, it happens for a little while, but Fatima's in her feelings because she's still, you know, upset about Gary calling Andy a bitch. Now, this to me felt weird. I'm thinking that Tyler probably sliced and diced, you know, moments from the finale and then put them in this episode and vice versa, because the order of events just don't seem to make sense. I mean, we had Fatima go back to Zach's place to get her laptop and then all of a sudden pop up at the hotel to confront Tony, and now she's back at work about the whole Gary thing. It just seems to me like this scene, or at the very least, yeah, these Fatima and Andy scenes and whatnot, they should have happened, you know, in a different order, but it is what it is. So, yeah, so Andy finds out about Gary calling her out of her name, and then they go to confront him over it. You know, Fatima, she's ready to throw down, but Andy's like, no, be cool, let's just go see what's going on. So, honestly, I think I should just talk about the Andy stuff, you know, to get that out of the way. So, they go over to, wow. They're about to go to Gary and Hayden, well, Hayden's office where Gary is. And before they get there, you know, Gary and Hayden are going over the whole situation involving the women. And, you know, like, man, why women got to be like that? And they kind of have a little competition about who's had the baddest bitch. And Hayden, you know, is always talking himself up. You know, man, yeah. Well, and Gary's like, wait. Who have you had that's badder than Andy? Fatima? And how long did that last? No, man, see, you just getting too specific. You just getting into too many details, man. It ain't even like that. So, yeah, let's, okay, we're going to get this bitch or everything. And then as soon as they get through the door, so which bitch are you referring to, Hayden? And I'm like, wait, could she hear through the door? Huh? Okay, but in any case, Fatima's about to fly off. She's about to take off her earring and, you know, just really set it off. But thankfully, she doesn't come thinking, look, you just got out of jail. But Fatima don't care. So Andy asks Fatima to leave, and Andy sits down to talk with Gary. And it's almost like she's trying to manipulate the manipulator by calling his bluff about, what, you want to hurt me? You want to get back at me? Is it about this guy you think I'm sleeping with? Gary, do you really think I'm a bitch? And I'm thinking to myself, well, Andy, never. Okay, so Hayden is, you know, sitting there just like, yeah, we got you. Yeah, you know, Gary, don't talk to her. Don't look at her. But she's like, wait, you're talking about pain and suffering? I mean, I could beat this. You put the car, the penthouse in my name. I paid the taxes on them, even though you paid for everything else. But I can win this. Not to mention the fact that you bought that penthouse just so you can spy on me. Again, Gary, I could beat you with this. So from there, Hayden is asked to leave the room. And from there, Andy and Gary talk. This, based on the promo for next week, I'm just sitting here like, this is just a waste of time. Because, well, I haven't done Drunk Andy. And when I was doing the live last night, people said I did a good impression of Andy talking to Gary. So, let's see if I can do it. Gary? We're not good for each other, okay? We're not good for each other. Look, I love you, you love me, but we aren't good for each other. We were never good for each other, okay? It's just not meant to be. And I'm thinking, yeah, because you were never meant to be together because, first of all, he was married when you two were, you know, messing around to begin with. So why are you trying to make it seem like it's okay? It's just that we have to move on and let each other go. I remember during my live stream I said that when I did the Andy impression, I felt like Chris Tucker trying to do a Michael Jackson impression, but at the same time doing an Andy impression. So it's like, no, Gary, we're not good. No, we have to stop. Look, Hayden, get out of this office. Fatima, calm down. You always want to be starting something. Just no, go. All right. So Gary, this literally turns into Zach and Karen at the end of season 3 when Zach goes to the salon to confront Karen about confronting Fatima, where it's like, look, we're just not good for each other. But no, I still love you. I can't let you go. I'm not ready to move on. That's essentially what this conversation was. And I think that's at the detriment of Fatima and Zach being so big, where Tyler tries to replicate certain moments with the other characters, but it just doesn't work because you can tell how flimsy it is. And it's not and no, it has nothing to do with the acting. It's the fact that we're freaking 4 full seasons in and we're starting season 5. I think we got a feel of how these characters act. And Andy, how many times has she said, I'm tired of the way you make me feel, Gary. I'm tired of the way you put me down and you try to control me and you try to give me these things I never asked for, and you know, no. And then next thing you know, they banging each other and then it's the same thing over again. I don't know. It's stupid. But Gary agrees that it's over. I mean, she'll give everything back. He'll reimburse her on the taxes. And here's another bit that had me confused. Apparently, she sold her old apartment and whatnot. And I was thinking, wait, didn't that the guy who owned the property, the building and whatnot, say that she had like a week or something to make up her mind about signing off on the penthouse, as well as giving up her old apartment so that could be rented out again? So how the hell did she sell her old apartment? That doesn't make any sense. Literally, because she said the whole time, oh, Robin's going to be here a few days, so he'll stay at the penthouse, and that'll be a way to test you before I sign anything. And now all of a sudden, nope, that's not the case anymore. I don't know. I don't know. All right. So I guess you could say they agree that it's over, and that's it. So that's that. But, you know, I call bullshit. Okay, so we go over to the hospital, and Pam is there for everybody asking, where's Pam? She's not in the preview. Pam was at the hospital for girl. And, you know, Karen feels like her stomach's in knots. Also, the doctor never shows up in this episode, so for people wondering what's taking so long, hell if I know. Apparently, off screen, the doctor keeps coming in and out of the room to run some tests, but that's it. All right, so Pam tries to reassure Karen that everything's all right. You know, everything's just so upside down in my life. I don't know what's going on. And Pam, you know, tries to console her in the fact that, look, you got your head on straight and everything else in your life is going well, just the men department. And I like the fact that while Pam is being reassuring, she isn't sugarcoating the situation. It's that, look, Karen, you got a good job. You're making decent money. You know, you're a confident, strong woman, but it's just the men department you're screwed up in. And I like that, because if it was Andy or everybody else, well, except for Danny, that is, they would have been like, no, Karen, everything's okay. No, everything's not okay. She's in crisis mode. All right. So Pam is trying to figure out who to call. Like, you know, should I call Aaron? No. Do you want me to call Zach? No. And then, you know, Karen just says, go back to the salon. And Pam isn't going to leave her. She just says, look, I'll just go wait outside. How about that? I just really love that. It's the fact that Pam, you know, she's going to be there for Karen even when Karen doesn't want her to be. And it's not in an intrusive way. It's the fact that she knows her girl's going through a lot and she wants to be there. So we actually get Karen actually does get a call on her phone, but it's from Miss Lisa, which was a joy to hear her voice again. And she says she's coming to see her, but she doesn't know, you know, tell me where you are in the hospital. And then she's like, hey, I'll come right over. Now, this is one of many events in the episode that I wish had a bit more connection. As in, I wish Miss Lisa's reasoning for coming back had to do with Karen in terms of her being in the hospital, as opposed to just a random call out of the blue saying, hey, baby, I'm coming to see you. Honestly, I wish that maybe Pam was the one to call, because let's say there was like a commercial break or something after the whole situation of, hey, don't call Zach, don't call Aaron. And then when Pam goes to sit outside, she called Miss Lisa because even though, you know, she doesn't want to see any of the potential baby daddies, at a time like this, Karen needs her mom. So I think that, you know, Miss Lisa showing up because of Pam would have been a better moment than her just showing up out of the blue. I'm glad to see her. I am glad to see Miss Lisa, but I do wish there was a more, you know, there was more of a connection there. That's just my thing. But like I said, there will be plenty of moments in this episode where characters say and do things that just seem to just happen because they happen, as opposed to being any lead up as to why they do certain things. I hope you followed me when I said that. Okay, so speaking of Miss Lisa, she does show up at the hospital. Best scene of the episode. You know, the Zatima scene in the parking lot was a close second, but this was my favorite scene because fans have been waiting for this for the past 2 whole seasons. Yes, we wanted Miss Lisa to show up in season 2, but to be honest, Karen was doing pretty good at that point, you know, until her and Zach did it in the salon. But season 3 and, well, mainly the back half of season 3 and all of season 4 was bitch Karen mode. I'm sorry, but that's what it was. But Miss Lisa shows up, and props to Karen because she actually said, you know, hey, I'm pregnant. And when, you know, her mom's like, hey, so where's the father? Wait, do I need to call Zach? Wait. I actually don't know. I'm not 100% sure it's him. So, you know, wait, is it the accountant? No, he's not an accountant, Mom. Aaron. Oh, wow. So it could be either or. I am just so glad that she finally said that. For real. I honestly thought she was going to blame this whole thing on Zach, but thankfully that's not the case. So from there, she tells her mom about the doctor running tests and everything, but nothing has been said to her. And this is my favorite part, where Miss Lisa gives her daughter a wake-up call, but then based on the preview for next week, it seems like shit isn't going to matter. But I'm going to cherish this moment for what it was. So it turns out that Miss Lisa was a lot like Karen. The fact that Karen's father was a lot like Zach. Someone who was a man-child, someone who wasn't taking life seriously, and Karen, or in her case, Miss Lisa, was the one that had to wear the pants in a relationship, make sure that money was coming in, that they had a roof over their head. And then when it got to the point where they, you know, were no longer together, he met someone else, and he was the kind of man then that she feels like he should have been when they were together. So it felt wrong for some other woman to reap the benefits of their hard work. And I get it, but with Karen it's kind of weird, because I'm thinking, like, while Miss Lisa is really telling the truth and spitting facts, it's the fact that Karen was the one that kicked Zach out. I'm going to do a whole video about this scene, by the way, because, you know, he's moved on, and he's, you know, got a house with another woman now. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, Karen, because you kicked him out. I'm not saying you and Zach had to stay together. I remember back during the end of season 1 and early season 2, go back to my Sistas playlist and you'll see in those videos I said, just because Zach saved Karen's life doesn't mean she's obligated to get back together with him. So there's that, but you need to recognize you're the one that chose Aaron over Zach. So there's really nothing you can do about it. Why are you mad that he's living with someone else? Or should I say another woman is living with him in his house? But she just drops facts. And it's like, what? I really want this baby. And I will get into that in a separate video. But real quick, she don't need no baby. First of all, if it's Aaron's kid, she's going to resent that child because it's not Zach's. Not to mention, she told Aaron to his face, I don't want to have your child because I don't know you well enough, which is bullshit. And then if it's Zach's child, she's only going to utilize the child to constantly insert herself into Zach's life, despite the fact that he's moved on. So, Karen, no, you have never expressed interest in having a child until you got pregnant and thought it was Zach's or assumed it was Zach's. So bullshit. I call bullshit. But Ms. Lisa's like, what you need to do is take all that stress and turn it into love and put it into making this child. That's what you need to do. But what if it is Zach? So what if it is? But it's so confusing. Well, that's life. It's like, what about the holidays? Oh, Christmas. What? You just meet up during Christmas. It's no big deal. Remember when you were a kid and you would always talk about, even though you got this for Christmas, you already talking about what you would get the next holiday when you need to be happy with how things are in the moment. Miss Lisa was just dropping straight facts. I mean, yeah, that was pretty much it. This was a great scene. Again, it's probably not going to stick, but even though I really do hope it does, but still. All right, so from there, we go over to Maurice's and Calvin's apartment, and Q's calling Logan, and he lets him know that the arrest happened, and Q is going to be able to walk. All he needs to do is testify in court against Maurice and Sabrina, which I'm not even going to talk about the stupidity in that, because I'm wondering, you got that quote-unquote confession, but what judge in their right mind will listen to that and, you know, say, yep, that's a confession? I don't know, stupid. All right, but from there, Logan says, okay, now what you need to do between now and the the trial, you need to get a job, you need to stay out of trouble, you need to make a legit living, and I'll try to hook you up with a job, and that's going to be at the airport with Danny. Keep in mind, he's probably going to have Zach's old job, you know, working in luggage and, you know, helping people get from one end of the airport to another. So we might see Q working with Danny sooner than later. So Calvin actually shows up, and this is one of those moments I talked about before when characters act a certain way out of nowhere. So he's asking, wait, what are you still doing here? What do you mean? I'm just fixing some food. Where's Maurice? I've been calling him, I ain't getting no answer. I don't know. No, you need to leave. What are you talking about? Where am I supposed to go? So I guess you could assume Calvin is acting this way because of the whole photo that Maurice took of Calvin having his head on Q's lap when he was drunk, but this still makes no sense because you planning something. I ain't about to eat that food. What the hell's going on here? Now, look, you know what? I'm about to pack up my shit and leave. Yeah, maybe you should do that then. Nah, you up to something. And then he looks at the food and then he's like, I ain't eating that. Okay, maybe I will have a plate. This made no sense, okay? This made no sense because for a moment, Calvin was using the common sense he should have used all of season 4. How did Calvin go from, you know what, after hearing Q's story, I'm cool with him staying here, to, I don't trust your ass, you up to something, you need to go. Flimsy writing. Look, okay, there have been different animes, TV shows, movies, franchises. I've seen moments like this where the creators realized the characters, you know, were written badly for a long time, whether it be a season or an entire arc, and then either mid-arc, mid-season, or in the very next season or arc, they decide to give these characters the common sense they should have had from the beginning. So they pretty much act the way they should have been acting, but they didn't for whatever reason, for the sake of the plot. So to have Calvin all of a sudden questioning Q's intentions and all this other stuff makes zero sense. It makes no sense. And then to have him be swayed by a plate of food is just as stupid as when Maurice was doing the same shit in season 4. These three morons, that's the nicest way for me to put it, were acting like idiots the entire season. Yet all of a sudden, oh, now I want to act like Q's up to something. No. Honestly, Calvin should have moved out the moment that Q was first introduced. What was it when Maurice's ex or whatever, Bootsy and Q, went into his room and had sex on his mattress? I would have packed my shit up, told Maurice, you're going to reimburse me for my mattress. I'm buying me a new one for a new place, and I'm gone. That should have been it. But, yeah, so Q is, you know, still working an angle. I mean, people are like, so, Q gets Maurice arrested and thinks he's just going to stay in that apartment. So, again, your guess is as good as mine. The only big takeaway of this scene is Calvin saying he keeps getting, you know, phone calls from a correctional institute, and you didn't answer. Look, if it's, you know, like, I don't answer a phone number I don't recognize on the first try, but if I'm constantly getting phone calls, you might want to pick up. So, I don't know. And Maurice doesn't make an on-screen appearance this episode. He's only mentioned in passing via the phone calls and whatnot. And speaking of Maurice in jail, because we don't see it, I'm just going to jump to towards the end. When Sabrina is being, you know, checked into the jail, she doesn't, you know, think she's a prisoner. I'm not an inmate. And apparently she's not, quote-unquote, complying. So she's going to be forcibly undressed and have her hair, you know, cut off, the fake hair, the locks and whatnot, and that's really about it for her too. I'm actually surprised we didn't get a Maurice scene either, but yeah, that's pretty much, you know, it for them. Okay, so let's hop over to the law firm. Fatima's about to leave for work, and Andy catches up with her, telling her that everything's fine. So apparently her and Gary were able to work things out. I guess that Andy will just get to work soon with packing up her stuff at the penthouse, but for now, she and Fatima about to head out, because Fatima's excited since, you know, her and her man Zach are about to go on a date, and Zach actually shows up. I was shocked because we couldn't tell who it was walking in. I'm like, Lord, is that Paris? Is that Robin? Is that, who is it? But it's Zach, and he's rocking the Zatima beard, not the same facial hair he had in Sistas season 4. So to see Zach, you know, with his Zatima look in Sistas, I love it. You know, he's there to pick up, you know, his boo for a date, which again just showcases the difference between how he is now versus how he was with Karen. And I thought it was really funny when Andy was like, wait, no, Fatima, actually I do have some more work for you to do. What? I'm just playing. I like that moment. But also, okay, I don't want to okay, well, no, let me talk about this other part of the scene and then I'll talk about it. So as they're turning around to leave, this bitch Hayden rolls up. Oh no, Hayden is just being a hater. You got Hayden being a hater. That's it. Hater Hayden. That's it. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. He's just like, no, what's these criminals doing up here? This is ridiculous. Y'all need, you know. And Zach is like, you know what, man? Just, we ain't got time for this. And Fatima's like, hey, let him talk his shit. Let's go. So I'm just like, yep. She's like, yeah, boo, chill. Let this little man talk his head off. We got a spin-off to go to. So my question is this. Shouldn't there be like a restriction on Zach being able to come into the office? Or is Hayden that hated that they're like, you know what? We like this dude for kicking his ass. We'll let him come in. So I'm just saying, like, I feel like if you go into Walmart or any place of business and you physically assault one of the employees, you would probably be on a do not, you know, or deny interest list or something. That's all I'm saying. But I guess because Hayden is that hated, they don't care. I don't know. But if they don't care, I don't care. And I think he says something to, you know, the receptionist, and she like flips him off when he leaves. But some people are like, you know, Hayden needs to get a woman. Yeah, he does. Okay, we're almost done here. We're almost done. So Aaron shows up at the salon looking for Karen, and Pam's back. So I guess because Miss Lisa showed up, Pam, you know, is like, okay, well, your mom's here. I'm going to go back to the salon. And Pam calls Aaron out for it. It's like, well, look, if she didn't answer the phone, she might not want to talk to you right now, Aaron. But he doesn't want to hear that. He wants to know where she is. But Pam, for once, isn't spilling tea. I was looking at this scene like, okay, who is this woman and where is the real Pam? She's literally staying tight-lipped for a change. So Pam is adamant about Aaron leaving. He's like, fine, I'll just sit here and wait. No, you're about to go home. I'm about to close up. And then as he's about to leave, because Pam is like, look, you need to give Karen some breathing room. Okay, you're fine, Aaron, but you need to give her some space. So as he's finally about to leave, Andy shows up. Turns out she's looking for Karen too. So they go to the back office and they both kind of exchange information about the whole thing. Look, and what's going on with Karen? And Andy is pretty much regurgitating verbatim what Pam said. Look, stop popping up. Give Karen space. She's the kind of person where the more you push, the further you push her away. And then Andy thinks that Aaron was the one that told Gary to sue her, and he denies it. So they basically kind of do a, what's it called? A quid pro quo. I think that's the legal term, where you pretty much give up some information to receive something in return. And apparently they, again, exchange information where Aaron is like, so is Karen still in love with Zach? And Andy's like, look, I am not touching that subject. Nope. So Mr. Clean here is trying to vouch for Gary. Look, did you know about his relationship with his mom and everything that went on with that? And I'm thinking, like, wait, didn't his mom die when he was young and get burned up and, you know, cremated and shit? But then all of a sudden he has a mom again, and that's where he left his son. I don't know. There's some weird continuity in this shit. But basically, he's trying to vouch for Gary. He's not a bad guy. And I'm like, no, don't do this. And, you know, she kind of says the same thing about, you know, Aaron. Hey, I get that you care for Karen, but just respect her space and boundaries. And if she wants to reach out to you, she'll reach out. But just don't, you know, be up in her face every second. So I'm just sitting here like, here we go. Is this the catalyst for why Andy and Gary start messing around in the next episode? It's stupid. All right. So after that, they leave the office, and Pam and Andy have a few words because Pam is yet again not telling anybody what's going on, because earlier in the episode, she told Karen, hey, do you want me to call the girls? No, don't tell anybody about this. So at the airport, Danny's at the gate. You got a woman and a man there. Apparently they're separated, but they're trying to get to a summer camp because their son broke his leg, and there's a delay. But the woman, who is a bit saucy, is incredibly rude, calling Danny out of her name over and over again. And it's interesting how cool that Danny is. She's actually pretty restrained and professional, and she pretty much, you know, this is a black Karen, no pun intended to Karen on the show, but she's like, I want you fired because you can't get us on a flight and you talking back. And then she's like, oh, well, actually, since you're a bit drunk, I can't accommodate you today. And then, you know, the man gets her to finally back down. It's like, hey, why don't y'all sit y'all asses down, and then I'll see what I can do for you. But from there, we go over to the parking lot of the Chain Breakers meeting where Zach and Fatima first met. He pretty much took her there to express how he's thankful to God for everything, how they met, and the circumstances surrounding the meeting. You know, it was like, you were running late that day, or if I didn't come to the meeting, things really lined up. Remember, Zach was just riding through the parking lot, not looking where he was going because he was depressed. At that point earlier that day, in front of all the other sisters, Karen chose Aaron over him. So he felt rejected and depressed. And, you know, since he wasn't, you know, thinking straight, that's how he got hit. And it's like the most beautiful non-driving woman I've ever met. And, you know, everything's been good since I met you. It's a great tender moment of them reminiscing about how they met and how, look, if I ever fuck up, or if you fuck up, look, I ain't gonna fuck up. And I thought, yeah, what about Ian, huh? We can always come back to this spot and kind of like rekindle the feelings when we first met each other. So it's funny how this moment got kind of ruined, because I wouldn't even say ruined, but Fatima's like, let's go home. Zach's like, let's go home. What? Wait, that's the date? Yeah, I wanted to be sweet and take it. No, you gonna feed me? What? Man, you messing up. So it's funny how they had this sweet, tender moment, like a Sistas moment, but then it switches straight into a Zatima moment where they're going back and forth with each other, bickering. I loved it. This was a great scene. All right, then we get to the final scene of the episode with Danny calling Sabrina no luck. And it's like, yeah, because remember, you're the one that told Sabrina, oh, don't worry about it. Ain't nothing going to happen. And now she's in jail. Preston comes out of nowhere. Let me just say, I hate what Tyler did with Preston here. This was ridiculous. So Preston comes back out of the blue because apparently he didn't get on the plane and leave. He tells a story about how there's this girl from elementary that he knew named Mindy. They started dating back in like middle school, and it got to the point that, you know, they were adults, but he felt like he needed a break to see what else was out there in the world. And during his tour, if you will, he came across Danny. And it gets to the point where, if I go back, I'm going to ask her to marry me. I want to take her back to that elementary school on that playground we first met and ask her to marry me. But if you tell me not to go, I won't go. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell, Preston? Have some self-respect. This is awful, because of the fact that he's still apologizing of, you know, I'm the one that got some bad advice and followed it, and I'm sorry. But just tell me you don't want me to go, and I won't go. I hate ultimatums like this, because you're literally putting Danny on the spot. This woman has done nothing to show that she's willing to change or love you the way that you love her. I feel like this is a losing battle. Preston was better off disappearing. I don't hate Preston. One of my favorite characters. Just like with Karen, I do not like the way Tyler has written this character. This is just flat out character assassination. If Danny does agree to this and say, don't go, Preston, and he stays, what the hell kind of relationship is that? It's like the only way. This is a Gary move. This is like when Gary's like, I'm going to New York. I'm going. But I have this ring. It's not an engagement ring, but it's a ring to show you that, or a promise ring that I'm doing better. I got therapy. I'm going to change. No. This is awful writing, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Speaking of weird writing and character decisions, I forgot to mention this earlier, but I did say this in my live and on Twitter. After all the things, all the quote-unquote pain and suffering, which is a fitting title for the episode, after everything Gary, directly or indirectly, you know, indirectly like with Jasmine and whatnot and all this other stuff, why is it that Gary calling Andy a bitch is worse than Gary bruising her ribs, Jasmine shooting Gary in front of her and then pointing a gun in Andy's face? And like Andy said, I can go on and on about the various things you put me through, but being called a bitch? Oh no, you didn't. What the hell? So yeah, as you can see, there were plenty of moments in this episode where I'm just wondering what's the motivation behind the character changes. Are they just acting like they got sense for the sake of the plot? Like Tyler hitting the reset button to make these characters smart to set up the season? On the one hand, I don't mind that, but then on the other, it feels kind of out of left field. And like I said before, based on the promo for next week, a lot of these characters are back to their old selves, like with Andy and Gary and Karen calling Fatima out of her name, and I just want her to get slapped, so I don't know. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. This wasn't a bad episode. Like I said, I have mixed feelings about it. That's pretty much where I stand. Once the official trailer is released in good quality, I'll do my breakdown. Hopefully it's tomorrow, or, you know, hopefully before Monday. I would really appreciate that. So thanks so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next video.